Awesome, awesome, awesome. Welcome to the circle. This one is about the intelligence of your heart and the beauty and the wisdom that comes from your heart into the world, into your life, into your career, your relationships, your health and well-being, and connecting straight with this. So awesome. I'm going to set sacred space. Awesome. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome. Welcome into this space. Welcome into this time. I'm going to draw a circle around this circle and declare this space a sacred space and a sacred time. I'm going to set my ego to the outside of this circle so I can be a clear conduit for this wisdom, information, knowledge, and for you. Hopefully you hear something that will inspire, encourage, and empower you to live the greatest version of your authentic life moving forward. So awesome. Let's get into the presentation. Perfect. So welcome to the circle. This is the intelligence of your heart, the circle with Granddaughter Crow. See, we're all coming together in a heart. So what we will cover today, we're going to be talking about just intellect in general, the different types of intellect, because a lot of times when we say intellect, we immediately think of the mind. Then, of course, the majority of the circle, we're going to be talking about the heart intelligence, the intellect of the heart, and how to regulate it and radiate it out of you in order to, and this is literally scientific, that you can radiate your heart intellect out of you. So I'm really looking forward to this information. So let's jump in. What is intelligence? Well, for the most part, when you Google define intelligence, it talks about reasoning skills, right? It talks about reasoning skills. And when it talks about reasoning skills, I'll say in this society, we immediately go up here. We immediately think that intellect equals brain function. IQ, the intelligent quotient or whatever that is, has to do with this. And I say this society because not all societies think like that. We have been taught that, and we move in that because of what we have been conditioned on how to think and how to approach society. So for most of you, you probably know I am also of the Navajo Nation. Navajo tribes, indigenous tribes, they have different types of intellect. They work with body intellect, spiritual intellect. And it's kind of interesting because in this society, so if you go back far enough into your DNA, what I'm saying will probably resonate with you, and you'll start differentiating between what society tells you and where we are in the Western society and what your body intellect and your DNA intellect tells you. So with that, I would say that, oh gosh, the big picture, we came from this society, where you basically are like, you're a number in the workplace. You have to perform like this. Your intelligence is up here. And by God, don't bring any emotional intelligence into the workplace. At least that's what it was before we encountered some two brilliant minds, one of which is Howard Gardner, and he talks about, speculates, and introduces that there are actually 9 different types of intelligence. And there might be more than this, but it kind of broadens our understanding. And that happened in like 1983, if my research is correct. And he was also a colleague of Daniel Goleman. And if that name sounds familiar, he's the one in the late 80s, early 1990s, wrote the book Emotional Intelligence. And he was like, how to bring that into the workplace. And I'm like, oh, is this why I was born at this time? Because that makes so much more sense to me. If I was born in the 20s, I'd be like, but why can't I bring my emotional intelligence into the workplace? So nevertheless, there are 9 different types of intelligence, and we're going to kind of go over those really quickly. I did put them at the bottom of the handout, so you don't have to quickly jot everything down. So one of the intelligence or intellectual types that Howard Gardner talks about is language, the intelligence of being able to poetry, language, speak, comprehend, all of that. That takes a certain type of intellect, as opposed to mathematical intellect. So mathematical intellect is more like numbers and calculations and things like that. Then we also have musical intellect. So like people who are just drawn to music, they pick up an instrument, they know how to play, they really have that musical intellect. And then there is the body or kinesthetic intellect. These are like the Olympians who are extremely intelligent. They know how to balance, they know how to move, they know how to dance. This is the intelligence that is stored within the body and how to move the body. Athletes, a lot of athletes have this as one of their more superior types of intelligence. There's also spatial intelligence. What does that mean? It's the ability to think in pictures. So for example, if you want to rearrange things in your room, you want the bed to go over here and the desk to go over there and blah, 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 blah. If you have spatial intelligence, you're able to kind of visualize, will it fit? And how will that look prior to moving it? If you have low spatial intelligence, you're moving it around and going, well, that didn't work. So now you have a lot more exercise. But at the end of the day, spatial intelligence is the ability to arrange concepts and all of that within the mind. There's also the interpersonal intelligence. And I think like a lot of people have this that are just like, I like to connect with people, that interpersonal connectivity. They're really good socializing. Some people have intrapersonal intelligence, which means self-knowledge. Instead of inter, it's intra, and that means the knowledge of oneself. The last two, the people who have the green thumb, the nature-based intellect. They just know how to garden. They exercise their intellect through gardening, and maybe even to the extent that they know if they plant that tree there, that in 5 or 10 years it'll be this tall, which will cast more shade on the patio, blah, 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 blah. They think in that way. And then the last one, I would think that most people here would have a little bit, if not more than a little bit, more than the average bear, existential intelligence. Because if you didn't have existential curiosity and existential intelligence, you wouldn't be here in the circle today, which is that intellect of beyond that which you cannot see, but you are aware of. Existential intelligence. So that kind of broadens our minds to be able to see that intelligence is not only here, it actually goes through the body, and it has to do with how we connect with ourselves and with other people. It goes into the natural world, it goes into music, and it goes into this existential wisdom. Moreover, just talking about intelligence in general, we have up here a picture of what I think is a neuron. So a neuron is a thinking cell, the cell that thinks, and it likes to connect with other thinking cells. So in the brain and the mind, we have approximately, I've seen anywhere from 86 billion to 100 billion neurons within the brain. right? In the body or in the gut, we have, only 100 million neurons. So that's interesting. And then in the heart, we have approximately 40,000 neurons. So we have thinking cells within the mind, within the gut, and within the heart. There's one really quick thing. If you guys enjoy that, you might enjoy picking up this book called Blink, like Blink. It basically means that a person who is well versed in a certain science or craft is able to deduce whether something is authentic immediately without examination. So there was this one story in the book where they showed these artists and this like statue, this old statue. And the first thought was the artist was like, that's not authentic. That's a fraud, that's a fake. But then they go, oh no, check it out. And they went through all of their studies in their brain and they went through all of this and they were like, well, I guess it is authentic. But then at the end of the day, it was like, nope, it's not authentic. And your gut check was right. That blink. And that is because of your neurons within your gut, which I think I might have more since the pandemic. I increased some gut neurons. I'm just playing with you guys. So nevertheless, let's go ahead and look at this. So we have neurons, thinking cells in our brain, our mind, our body, our gut, and in our heart. Different types of reasoning skills and different types of intellect. So here's, if you have ever read one of Granddaughter Crow's books or taken one of Granddaughter Crow's classes, you're like, of course, Granddaughter Crow's going to talk about the body, the four bodies. So in short, if you haven't, let's do a quick review. This is the Vitruvian Man, brought to us by Leonardo da Vinci. And in this, we talk about ratios and proportions, right? But there is also a school of thought that the Vitruvian Man is a great representation of the four bodies of existence. So what are the four bodies of existence, Granddaughter Crow? First would be the physical body. Second would be the emotional body. Third would be the mental body. And fourth would be the spiritual body. And in this, it's kind of like when it's a different concept than thinking, I am a spirit, I have a mind, I have emotions, and I live within a body, which I agree with too. I agree with that as well. I can totally see the validity in that. This is a different lens that says, yeah, but if you have a physical body, that needs food, exercise, and rest. What if you had an emotional body? Oh, well, that means that your emotional body needs food, exercise, and rest. Mental body needs food, exercise, and rest. Spiritual body needs food, exercise, and rest. So it kind of puts a little bit more context around what that looks like in the four bodies. And so it's represented here by the man that's standing still with his arms straight out, or the human that's standing still with his arms straight out would represent the physical body. The one that's moving represents the emotional body, motion, right? He's moving. The square that's around here would then represent the mental body, and then the circle that encompasses all represents the spiritual body. And so I usually talk about the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies as though they are outside of us, not jam-packed within us, meaning that my emotional body is going to be out here. And we're actually going to see some fun facts about how far your emotional body can extend. the mental body, I think outside the box, even in this context where we're sharing in this workshop or in this class, our minds are reaching across several miles, to be able to connect on a thought. So yeah, your mental body is big and your spiritual body encompasses them all. And the beauty around this is that sometimes I believe that these are four of your greatest counsel. Your physical body will tell you something. Maybe it's your gut or whatever. Your emotional body will tell you something. Your mental body will tell you something. And your spiritual body will tell you something. But have you ever been in a situation where your mental body is like, okay, your physical body's like, okay, I've got to be at the office. And your mental body's like, I wish I was on the beach and, whatever. And your emotional body is like bored with what you're doing. Your spiritual body's like, what the hell? That sensation, and we all go through that. That sensation brings this feeling of loss. Like you don't know where you're going. You don't have direction. You feel scattered. I've been there, done that. And so the beauty is that if you work with these as your counsel, giving them each a voice, they will each tell you something. They will each tell you something. And then when they start all saying yes, and you start making decisions because your physical body says, yes, I want to be here. Your emotional body says, yes, this is where I want to be. Your mental body says, I am engaged. And your spiritual body is game on. It's this sensation of feeling like you're on your path. And so I literally love this topic. And because of this, I am creating a 4-part series of the intelligence from the 4 bodies, one each on each of them. And so we'll go into that, but this expanded my mind so much. I'm like, I can't throw down all of this information in this circle today. So I will figure it out. So physical body. Initially, prior to societal telling you that you need to do this, you need to dress like this, you need to behave like this, you need to walk like this, you need to stand like this. Initially, if you go way back to the tribal period, the body and the intellect within the physical body was about reflexes. You'd be like, oh, I gotta run. There's a tiger over there. Oop, I gotta get up. It's all about survival. Your body knows how to do that. Your heart or your emotional body is what radiates. It's this intelligence of radiation or radiating. I shouldn't say radiation, but radiating. And that is there for connection to others, your tribe, your, community, with a partner, your children. The heart radiates so that it can connect. The mind reasons so that it can plan. And the spirit knows so it can guide. So I'm going to throw down a really huge series around a 4-part series around this. So keep your eye out if that's something that you might find interesting. Really quickly, I'll give you an example. Years ago, operation on my arm was put into not a set cast, but a plastic one so that I could take it off and put it on, but it was to hold my arm at a certain whatever. Well, it was plastic. And I don't know, the funny bone, that actually, I learned the hard way, is one of the most superficial nerves in your body. So one morning my body leaped out of bed because it was rubbing, that plastic was rubbing against my funny bone. It wasn't funny. And I jump out of bed without thinking, because I'm not even awake yet. I go to my sock drawer, I open it up and I start digging through my sock drawer. And then I'm like starting to wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? Am I going crazy? So I lay back down and then it's like, electric. And I'm just like, my body jumps up and goes to the sock drawer and so I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I think I'm going mad. I'm going insane. So I decided to get up, go downstairs, sit down. I took it off for a moment, even though, and I just tried to hold my arm still. And I started reasoning. And I'm like, okay, what does this feel like? I'm like, it feels like, a nervous thing that shoots energy up like a hard pair of plastic shoes. Okay, so what would you do if you had a hard pair of plastic shoes? And I'm like, I'd probably get one of those gel-like things that you put in your shoes. And I'm like, where could I get one of those? My sock drawer. My body knew before my brain. And things like this is what we're going to be talking about, and just all of the intelligence. So I digress. I get so excited about those types of things. So awesome. So body, heart, mind, spirit. Reflex radiates, reasons, knows. Survival connects, plans, guides. And if you go to Google to find this, you're not going to find it because Granddaughter Crow has not yet published this work, meaning I kind of discovered it in my own spiritual knowing, I suppose. If it makes sense to you, keep it. If it doesn't, make up your own. Awesome. So now let's get into the true topic, heart intelligence. Heart intelligence. Did you know that with a fetus, the heart develops first? The heart beats first. Before the brain, before the nervous system, the heart develops first. So that kind of tells me that it's important. It's important. I was also looking online, and there are some studies and some research, I'm going to delve into them a little bit more, that says that hearts hold personality. Hearts hold personality? I thought that they just was an organ that would beat inside of you to get your blood flowing. There's more to this, and it came to them through transplants. People who have had heart transplants, bone marrow transplants, liver transplants, the people who have had heart transplants, and I'll look more into this, but I was watching a documentary with a couple of, I would say, reliable sources, because they both had doctorates and they both were in the medical industry, both, I think, neurologists. And they said that when there was a patient who was female and was very hated like anything loud, and everyone would leave the room every time her husband would turn on a football game or something like that. She just couldn't handle it. She received a heart transplant, and she began to experience wanting to watch football, not just wanting to watch football, standing up and yelling at the screen and getting all emotional. Well, come to find out, the heart that she was transplanted into her was from a boxer, a male boxer. So that's wild. Then there was this other person who is in this elder man, and he got a heart transplant. A few months later, he's writing poetry and love letters to his wife. Never did that before. He's singing songs, classical songs, knowing classical music, and he's singing all of this, and he's never been interested in that before. Come to find out that the individual who provided him with that heart was in classical writing, poetry, studying classical music, was a violinist, etc. And so it's really interesting, but it goes beyond that. There was this lady who used to hate like onions, and after her heart transplant, she loves onions. So there's like, wait a second. So there's more like, whoa, this has to do with desire. This has to do with personality. What the heck? So I thought about it based on these two things that I was showing you, that the heart develops first and potentially holds personality and desires and flavors and preferences. I wonder, I'm an odd duck. I know you guys are going to hate me after this. I don't like chocolate cake. I do not like chocolate cake. I really don't even like chocolate. And I know I'm weird, but there was a brief moment in my life that I actually really craved chocolate cake. It was when I was pregnant with my son. I craved what he was craving. And of course, he loves chocolate cake. So I thought to myself, whoa, was his heart telling me, I want chocolate cake? And I was just like salivating. So here's the beautiful thing. So those are a lot of wanders. I wander. So pulse wave and magnetic energy. Yeah, that sounds really cool, Granddaughter Crow. What are you talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is scientifically, even though the brain has the majority of the neurons and the gut has the second amount, and the heart has 40,000 neurons on average, the pulse of the heart and the electromagnetic waves that can be scientifically found, this is the biggest radiator. You can radiate your heart energy and they can track it up to 6 to 8 feet outside of your body. It radiates more than your mind. In fact, it radiates, it's the connector. So, and it radiates. Do you know that it radiates 9 times more information from your heart to your brain? Your heart is giving 9 times more information to your brain than your brain does to your heart. Your brain basically is like, you still beating, kiddo? Yes. But your heart is like, but I'm picking up on so much energy. And what about this? And what about that? So when you think about that, the pulse and the waves and that magnetic energy are the strongest within your heart. So more heart intelligence. The strongest rhythm in the body is your heart. This is interesting because we're talking about the physical heart, but we're also talking about the intuitive heart because they are the same. So the heart connects to the brain and sends up 9 times as much information. Whether the brain picks up on it, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I wonder, is that part of where our intuition comes from? Is our heart is picking up, it's radiating and it's picking up and it's saying to the brain, hello, hello. So we are going to be doing an exercise on how to connect with the wisdom of your heart and how to consciously regulate your heart and how to consciously exude from your heart. We can regulate it consciously. Basically, what I'm saying is, and I'll get more into this in that masterclass, is that the beats actually are more like a call and response and send signals to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system within your body. So if it's beating and resonating at a regulated, beautiful rhythm of positive vibes, it makes sense to your environment. You're a type of person that people want to just be around, right? If it's not regulated, it will sound chaotic. And that's when people kind of go, are you okay? Are you okay? So we need to figure out how to regulate it. And we can do that. And I'm going to show you how to regulate it. I am going to show you how to regulate it. Heart and intellect exercise. Let's just take a moment. And wherever you are, unless you're driving, of course, if you're in this spot where you can do this, let's just take a moment and put your hand, 1 or 2, over your heart. See if you can pick up its beat. If you can't feel it, listen really closely, connect with it, and begin to relax. Begin to relax. And then breathe in through the nose, hold that breath, and exhale. Again, inhale, hold that breath, exhale. Now don't just breathe with your mouth and your lungs. Start figuring out how to breathe through your heart. Let your heart inhale and exhale. Now focus on positive energy. Maybe it's love, abundance, happiness, peacefulness. Whatever it is, focus on positive energy. As you're breathing that in through your heart and radiating it out. Now, if you wish, start radiating. Radiate that energy into your field. Perfect. 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 I look forward to hearing what you guys experienced. So, fun fact. Oh, I'm going to radiate that picture. It's just so cute. Science shows that support animals are support animals because dogs will regulate their heartbeat with your heartbeat. Wait a second, and that makes us feel calm and safe? Yes. That also means that if you practice this, radiating from your heart, maybe once, twice, 3 times a day, or when you remember, and you step into a room with somebody who is not regulated, that wants to be regulated. I mean, like, don't push your magic on people, but you can consciously step in there with the radiation of your heart, and their heart will begin to regulate itself. So you can help people regulate. It's the same reason why a child, when held by a loving parent, will calm down. Their heart starts regulating. So use your energetic field consciously. It is so powerful, so strong, and it holds within it the ability to bring that positive energy into the world. So what is the wisdom of the heart, Granddaughter Crow? So now that we're still in this space, I want you to continue, put your hand back on your heart, feel it, relax, breathe. Remember that your heart is sending your brain messages. See if you can hear the message. Maybe it's in English. Maybe it's a picture. Maybe it's a feeling. And then throughout your day, if you want to know the answer to a question, should I go this way? Should I go that way? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Do this exercise. The more that you do this, the stronger that this muscle will become. Do this exercise and ask your heart questions and let that wisdom come. The strongest, most magnetic organ and sensation and life force and intelligence that you have is your heart. So work with it consciously. Before you step into a meeting, before you start your day, before you whatever, do this practice. And all of a sudden, you're radiating out wisdom, positive, and your life begins to change and follow in suit. It's so, 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 so beautiful. So, 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 so beautiful. Plus, we get to see the picture of the puppy holding the kitty and they're regulating each other and the wisdom of that. I just love that. So the overall takeaways, Intellectual types. There's more than just your mind. There's also your 4 bodies of existence, as well as 9 other different intellects that Howard Gardner brought. I'm sure that there's more, but today we really focused on the intellect of the heart. Radiate it, regulate it, and radiate positive vibes in the world. So this is where we get to the fun part of the circle, where we're going to do a wonderful exercise. Sorry, I got kind of close to my microphone and I didn't want to like blow your blow your speakers. Okay, so this is fun, you guys. If you haven't done this with me, just sit back and enjoy. I'm going to do a 3-card pull. So pick a number. Do you want to be in group 1, group 2, or group 3? Pick a number. Do you want to be in group 1? I'll pull some cards for you. If you want to be in group 2, I'll pull some cards for you. If you want to be in group 3, I'll pull some cards for you. And if you're like, 1 or 3, 1 or 3, 1 or 3, feel free to do both. That's absolutely fine. I love it. Sacred space, sacred time. So I think that you can do this one of 2 ways. If you have a question based on your life right now, feel free to ask that question and let this respond to you. If you don't have a question, then what this will represent is messages from your heart. Messages from your heart. So I'm going to spread these out. Group 1, the message from your heart is Mother Earth. Creative feminine force, nurturing and birth. And no, I'm not saying that you're pregnant. I'm saying nurture whatever it is that you're developing and give your heart a hug and go out into the natural world and bring forth that which you want to rebirth. And what animal wants to flow with you? Well, of course, it's the butterfly, because they're all about transformation and taking care at each stage within your life. All right, I'm going to mix them up because you never know what will come up with group 2. All right, group 2. All right. And then an animal. That's cute. So this one is a message from your heart. Let go of those old burdens, whether they're other people's burdens that you really can't do anything, but you're carrying them, or an old burden of an old narrative that, well, I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do that, so that your energy will flow. Let go of those burdens so that your energy can flow. The raven. Let go of the burdens that no longer serve you and that you can no longer carry, so that your magic can come forth even more, so that you have more energy flow to your magic. All right, group 3. Perfect. Okay, group 3. You guys, I got to mix them up again because no card really bounced out. Okay, heart knowledge. Well, gosh, this is absolutely beautiful. This is the blue moon. This means that something, a miracle, something beautiful is coming to you out of the blue. It's got the wolf and some eagles, and it says mastery, recognition, and evolution. This is like you won the lotto kind of energy. And this is funny because it's like, oh, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. I absolutely love it, you guys. I love it. I hope that you found some inspiration, some encouragement, some empowerment from that. We are about ready to wrap up this part of the circle. And so I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the intelligence of your heart. This is the circle with Granddaughter Crow. And I hope that each of you have found something within your heart that will strengthen and empower your life.